much of a motivating factor is it for you guys to remain there and get that important double bye?
I think, and being consistent with everything that you've heard me say, it applies to this too. We're not thinking about that. We're thinking about winning our next game. And I think that, you know, you've heard, everyone has heard me say many times, when you start looking at the big picture, you know, that can consume you. And so we just take care of what happens next. Once the regular season's over, we'll see where we stand. And so we're not thinking about, you know, I just got a question in there, you know, we're not thinking about 5 games left, double buys, we're thinking about Providence.
But are there subtle adjustments or things that you emphasize as you try to get into the mentality of a tournament game versus regular season at all?
When we get to the tournament, we'll get there. We're not, it's still regular season now.
Okay. But you don't introduce all those, like, I mean, last second plays and things like that, is that, you say that stuff for once you get to tournament preparation?
I'm confused by your
Well, like,
question.
if,
Meaning,
if,
like, we
so
prepare for last second plays
there's, I mean,
right now?
there's nothing, well, okay, so there's nothing different, I mean, in your mind?
No,
Okay.
we're preparing for Providence.
One of your opposing coaches, and I can't remember which one offhand, said after game, John had more talent last year, but he's got a better team this year. Do you kind of sense that, feel that?
He said what now?
He had more talent, Georgetown was more talented last year, but it's a better team this year.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I like our team this year, and being the same thing. I'm thinking about this year's team, not last year's team. So I don't know.
But maybe just some of the guys are saying, you think this team has a better chemistry maybe than some you've had in the past?
Better than some, worse than others. Yes.
You're playing Providence for the second time this season. You already played St. John's and Memphis twice. Do you learn something different about your teams when you face when they face an opponent a second time, be it as a team, as individual players, than just in a standalone kind of game?
I don't know whether you learn anything different. I mean, you go into the game and, you know, we break down and analyze the tape of our first Providence game and come up with, you know, subtleties, different things that we can do, should do differently, better. And I'm sure they're doing the same thing. And so, you know, in as much as you're playing it, and every, you know, every team has the core of who they are, what they want to do. And so it's just a process of, you know, trying to figure out what we can do better, and then understanding that they're going, you know, what do we do well? What are they going to try to take away? So the whole cat and mouse game of trying to figure out what's going on probably comes into play for the second game more so than the first. To answer your question.
Well, and obviously, you know, your scouting report will dictate a lot as to what happens and what your players choose to do. But there's also maybe you learn a little bit their basketball instincts when they can come to you and say, hey, this happened last time, maybe something you didn't notice, or you notice on the court they're attacking a player in a certain way because they had an advantage last time or something along those lines.
No, we expect that. I expect that during the course of a game. I expect that whether it's the second opponent or not. I put a lot on them, just asking, what do you see? What do you think will work? What should we do? You know, just because I think it's important. I mean, that's just how I function. I've always functioned with my teams. And so I think they have been accustomed to that process during the course of every game. So it's not just a rematch game.
I mean, there were some problems, I guess, mostly in the second half of last Providence game, just offensively putting the ball in the basket. Is that something Providence was doing, or was it just, you know, off night? But, I mean, what do you have to do to correct that against Providence? What do they do well to hold you back?
They did a very good job, I thought, the first game of, you know, they protected the paint. You know, they basically said, we're going to make you make shots. And that day we didn't make shots like we had been. And so who knows whether they're going to do that again. They had some success with it. You have to anticipate that's going to happen. You know, it wasn't a question of us. I remember saying this after the game, and looking back at it, I feel the same way. It was not a question of us not getting quality looks. The ball didn't go in, and so we got to make shots. Make shots, guard your guy. We win. Simple game.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Really?
well,
Is everyone healthy?
Good.
Yes.
yeah, this is longer term, but they're moving forward on the athletic training facility they're going to be building next door on the tennis courts. Just had a briefing with Lee Reed about, I think by the end of the semester they'll be hopefully have it approved. Can you just talk about the importance of that to the program and what it's going to be like to have those new facilities and in terms of both recruiting and just, you know, preparation of the team?
It's necessary. You know, and you probably have all the data. I don't have it in front of me right now. McDonough was built in
51.
51 for how many sports?
9.
For 9 sports, and now it's 2012, and we have
29.
29 sports. And this is the home for all of it, so it's necessary.
I have a question, kind of going back to the beginning of the season. I think this team was maybe compared to the earlier teams that you had when you first got here. Have you felt at all that it's been like that as the season has progressed? That this team has been built a little bit like, maybe was it 06, 07 or even 05, 06?
Who said that?
I believe that you did compared it.
Did I really?
Yeah, I think Media Day.
I probably meant at Media Day, so many young guys learning
Right.
all over again. Okay, so back to your real question. Is it like that group? In many ways it is. In many ways it's similar. Now you gotta wait and see how the outcome comes before you start comparing. You gotta look at the full body of work before you start comparing and contrasting. But just the way the pieces are, they're similar.
And given that the fact that you guys have progressed as well as you have, especially defensively, I mean, is this a pleasant surprise to you? You're surprised that I guess they bought in and
It's no doubt. I mean, it's been a point of emphasis all year, you know, and I think that we have, this might go to your first question, you know, we have young guys that can and are playing defense at a high level for being young. A lot of times just understanding just how hard college is, how hard playing in a game is, but they've picked that up. And so, you know, from a defensive perspective, you know, knock on wood, I usually say this, we do poorly the next day. But from a defensive perspective, I think we've been pretty consistent and not bad all year.
yeah, because you said, I think you said last week that most high school guys get here and have no concept of what defense is.
Correct.
And for your guys, especially your freshmen, to progress so quickly, it's got to be pleasant.
It was necessary, and so I'm glad they've come through and done what they're supposed to do, what's required of them. Forget Rumble Board tuition.
Are you voting for Markel?
I'm not able to vote.
What do you think of Markel running?
What do you think of it? Are you a student?
Yes.
So it's more important what you think.
Exactly. I'd like to get that platform.
What is it?
I'm gonna see rats, get rid of them.
So Markel's a miracle worker. What was the question?
What do you think of the Brody Henry ran last year? Last year you said it has extracurriculars that they can do and have to pursue.
Well, I think, you know, students have extracurriculars that they can do, and sometimes they pursue them.
Anything else?
Do you have rats in your office?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Is that really the crux of